guys, welcome to another video clip of MrLopezClasses.com. Today we are going to learn the process to bleed hydraulic system. Yes, in hydraulic system we have two enemies. One enemy is humidity and the other enemy is air when the fluid is found. Okay, eliminate air is an important process. Remember that when the air enters in the system, the bubbles of air expand and block the system. Doesn't matter what type of hydraulic system is, the air is the enemy. Remember, if you have your engine with the coolant system, if the coolant system is hermetic, the circuit is closed, you don't have any problem. You don't need added refrigerant, you don't need to recover the coolant, and when you have a leak of coolant, immediately air enters in the system, and you have millions of problems because the bubble expands, explodes the radiator of your car, and kaboom. Exactly the same with the power steering system. The symptom normally is, oh, my power steering system in one direction is soft, in the other direction is hard. This is air in the system. We are going to explain two methods to bleed the system. The first one is the traditional. You move the wheel in one direction and you open the fitting with a wrench and you release fluid with air. You close again the fitting and you move in the other direction, open the other fitting and you release air with fluid. You do that process 2 times, 3 times until the fluid is coming without bubbles, and that's it. You recover the fluid in the reservoir and you move the steering wheel in both directions, and that's it. But that process requires 2 people, spill a lot of oil, it's not clean. Okay, the second one is using the electrohydraulic bleeder. It's a great equipment. You have an alligator cable to connect directly to the battery, 12 volts or 24 volts, and you bleed the system by yourself. Okay, we are going to check the first one, when you do the process, the traditional process by hand. We are going to use the traditional, the old school method. Danny, all right. What is the process?
I need a volunteer. Rojo's already doing the. Come over here. So, on the old school method, you have the little reservoir. Should have a nipple on there, and what you do is you screw this in. When you screw this in, obviously, don't cross-thread it.
We are going to bleed in the traditional way. Can you turn the wheel, please?
Okay. So, when you're adding fluid to this hydraulic steering ram, this has to be full all the way. We want it solid. If you have air in here and you're not paying attention, you're not adding fluid, you just integrated air into the system again, okay? So now, basically this is the old school way. This is how I did it before the power purge. So he opens that valve. Go ahead, open it. And see how it flows? So normally what I used to do is I would run 2 quarts in one direction and 2 quarts. Any air?
Yeah.
So once you don't have any more air, because here, I'm not worried about this air, I'm worried about the air over here. Yeah. I have no more air. Now he can close it. Once he closes it, now he's going to open it again, and I'm going to flow. See the flow? I normally run 2 quarts through it. I do 1 quart this way. I go do 1 quart the other way. I go back to 1 quart.
You see the bubbles, the small bubbles here, guys?
Yeah. Yep.
You see the bubbles? All right.
And then you lock it once all the air is out, and that's it. Okay, so now.
Okay, we are going to close the cap here. Great. And now we are going to use the second process. The second process is including the bleeder, the automatic purge system. And with Danny, we explain in details that process.
So on this one here, you have the part that screws into the helm. Why does it have two hoses? One's to fill and one's to return, okay? So when you go put this in, now when you order these caps, you gotta be careful. Some are vented and some are not vented. Why would you need a not vented one? Where do you think you would use that? That's for the second station. The second station has a non-vented cap. I learned that the hard way. And then the bottom station has a vented cap.
If you only have one station, it's vented.
So this screws right into the helm. I screw this in like that. It pops in. One goes to each one. All right, and then I gotta open the valves. So you gotta pop the valves. You hook everything up, pop the valves. So you don't even need to move the steering wheel, but I'm gonna show you what I would do. Okay. So turn on the pump. So it's forcing. You see the bubbles? You see bubbles coming out? Yeah, you see how the bubbles are coming out? So we really didn't technically bleed it perfect, but this bleeds it for perfect. Really 5 minutes of this and that's done. So normally when I see no more air bubbles, and this is on a boat, I physically move it by hand because the valves are open, there's no pressure. Let it sit like that a little bit. Oh, see it? Another air bubble just popped out.
Yeah.
And then I go the other way. Oh, more air bubbles.
Sit.
It's a lot easier when it's on a boat. Let it sit. See how he returns the air bubbles? See how it's taking it right out? And I go one more the other way. In the moment I don't see any more bubbles, shut the valve before I turn off the pump. Shut the pump off. That was easy, right?
Take the smoke.
So
That's a grand,
it's
right?
either do it the old way or spend yourself $1,200. Think about it. I charge an hour for
And you
bleeding
don't
system.
spill oil.
Yeah, there's no oil spill. Okay?
Okay, guys, finally, don't forget that if you have a power-assisted unit, electrical, or you have a autopilot with the electrical power head, to bleed the system, you need those units on, with the motor on. This is very important. This is the explanation.
Be careful when you have in the middle, in between the manual pump and the cylinder, the power assisted unit. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have power assist, then you have to bleed it with the power steering. And it has to be electrically on. So when you, now that one, you could turn the wheel with the valves open because the hydraulic
Let me bring
pump's
that
open.
one and we explain that.
Okay, so on this one, when you have the power steering system, forget about this ram. Just imagine it's that one that has the bleeding nipples. If you ran into a situation this customer didn't have bleeder because someone didn't rig it right, first thing I would tell them, I need to buy bleeders and install it so we don't have to deal with this, because in that, you'll never bleed this correctly if you don't have the bleeders. Okay, so that's an upsell to the customer, whether he likes it or not. Regardless, that needs to be done. Okay. So if this was that system, it's the same system applies, but the key has to be on for this to work.
This one should be on or the ignition switch on.
Right. So once this turns on, then that way you have, the key has to be on. So once that turns on, then you have the pump rolling. As the pump's rolling, now the electric motor's helping you force the fluid through the system. Okay?
That motor should be on.
Yes.
Okay. Also, in both with autopilot, the power unit of the autopilot should be on.
Everything needs to be on. Anything, if it has autopilot, power steering, it all has to be on.
Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video clip.